Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known as Crease Collector. And as you guys see, also joining us is a very special guest for today, Isaias Peraza. Isaias, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. And we'll apologize up front. There's a little bit of a delay, but that happens when you've got three people from around North America on a show. So just bear with us as we deal with that. But yeah, we're super excited for this episode. This has been a long time coming. We were talking about this before we hit the go live button. But back when Aaron and I were first kind of planning for the podcast and envisioning what the podcast could be back in 2020, we had a short list of people who we knew we would want to have on the show one day and just talk to them and pick their minds and hear about their collections and stuff like that. And Isaias was on that short list, over 5 years ago at this point. So this has been a very long time coming, but we are super excited that this episode is finally happening. Some of you probably know about Isaias and his collection, but for those who don't, it's a really, really cool collection and just a very special collection too that largely highlights 2005-06 as a whole. So obviously that being Crosby and Ovechkin's rookie year, there are a ton of just incredible cards from that year. And we will get to see some of those later on in the show. But first up, as you guys are kind of used to, we open up with mail a lot, and this will be no different. The first one, this is actually a really cool mail day that I got from a listener recently. So shout out right away to Matt, who is hobby_boot on Instagram. He recently sent me a couple of really cool Jacob Slavin OPG Platinum parallels for my collection. So the Violet Pixels and Freeze from 24-25 OPG Platinum. And so those are much appreciated. But in my opinion, what is the even cooler part of Matt's package was the letter that he sent. And I told him that I would read it real quick because it's just a really cool and meaningful note. So he says, Eric, glad these could find a good home. As much as I love Slavin, I don't collect him. So if I ever hit any of his stuff in Canes breaks, I'll let you know. Keep up the good work with the podcast. You both do a great job, and I love how positive you both are about the hobby. Enjoy these cards, and if you're ever in the Raleigh area, be sure to reach out. And then this is where it gets really cool. Oh, I almost forgot. It's you that collects Derek Whitmore stuff, correct? I am from Portland, Maine originally, so I watched him play for the Pirates for many years. I was actually visiting Maine for Christmas last year and was at the one Maine Mariners game where he came out of retirement for a night and scored a goal. Epic stuff. I love that there's another fan of his out there. Be well and happy hobbying, Matt. And what's really cool about that, I mean, it's cool in its own right, but what's even cooler is Matt sent this note before I showed off that jersey on the podcast. So he didn't even know about me having the jersey when he wrote and sent this letter. So then when we showed that off on the last show, he was like, you are going to freak out when you read the note that I sent you. So just a really, really cool little package there. And again, much appreciated, Matt, and a cool little backstory to go along with the jersey too. So there's that. And then to transition a little bit kind of more into the main topic, I have a mail day that I want to show off. And, as you guys know, a lot of time I will not tell Aaron what something is ahead of time. So he has a
not fair,
more genuine reaction when we show it off. But kind of funny enough, Isaias actually does know about this card. So just kind of funny how that is working out, since it is, like I said, a very topical type of thing for this episode in particular. So I'm going to just throw up the card on the screen, and then we can kind of debrief it a little bit and go from there. So this is a card that I got recently, and I'm very excited to add to my collection.
Oh, wow. Signature swatches Ovechkin. Wow. That is, yeah, that's an incredible card. I did not expect to see that one. It definitely fits the theme of the show. Because, wow, yeah. I have a Belfour from that set, and it's always been one of my favorite cards from that collection. So to see Ovechkin there that's wow. I really love the bronze kind of swatch there as well. Very something you don't see too often. Some people might not like that it's a one color, but I love that big bronze swatch. I really enjoy that. So that's an incredible card, and I was definitely not expecting that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I know
that's completely awesome.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, when I first told Isaias about this card, we were kind of talking about it, and he surprised me in the fact that he actually doesn't have one of these. So that was kind of caught me off guard. But yeah, it's definitely an awesome card, awesome set. A little bit of the backstory: I had an Ovechkin Cup Enshrinements autograph, just like from a random year. I want to say 11-12, and really nice card. But it was kind of one of those, like, I would always hope to upgrade it to something a little bit nicer, ideally something rookie year. So came across this card and was like, yep, I think that's the one that I want to upgrade to. So yeah, ended up selling off some Jacob Slavin duplicate Cup RPA stuff recently and took that money to buy this, and then sold the Ovechkin Enshrinements auto that I had, and then turned that money into something else that I'll show on the next episode. But yeah, anyway, figured this would just be a fun little topical way to get into the rest of the episode. So yeah, just a cool card there. So turning to the main part of the episode, our Q&A with Isaias, and just hearing more about him and his collection. So Isaias, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the hobby?
Sure. So with my upbringing was mostly on the east coast of Canada, so between New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and currently now in Alberta for professional work. But growing up, hockey was actually like not a part of my life at all. I was so my background, parents are from El Salvador and immigrated to Canada, so soccer was the big thing in our house. I remember watching like the 98 FIFA World Cup, and then the 2002 one's really ingrained in my mind. There was hockey around, like I knew of the sport, but like never really dove into it at all. Which wouldn't be until 2002 Olympics, with Team Canada overcoming the 52-year drought, I think it was at the time, for a gold medal. But it wasn't, I didn't watch it live at all. How I actually got introduced to it was General Mills had a promotion in their cereal boxes, and they had a 4-set DVD series called Going for Gold. I'm assuming it was only distributed in Canada.
I remember those, yes.
Yeah?
I do,
I remember
yes.
having number 2 and number 4, I believe. But anyway, I watched those religiously. Every day after school, it seemed like I was always putting on like a few minutes of it or whatever. So naturally, I was drawn to the players on those teams, namely Joe Sakic. So Joe Sakic won the MVP of that tournament. He had this like wicked wrist shot in the gold medal game. Seemed to come up big for Canada whenever they needed it. So I kind of started drifting like my allegiances towards like the Colorado Avalanche, just because of Sakic. But like I never really got into cards, or I never even watched live hockey at that point. Fast forward maybe a year, family moved out to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and that's kind of when I was introduced. Like a lot of my friends, so this would have been like maybe 10 years old, friends at the time, they were all Leaf fans. So naturally I became a Leaf fan, joining in with the crowd. But again, like I never watched any sort of live games at that time until 2004 World Cup. I distinctly, that was the first game I ever watched live, the final between Canada and Finland. And of course, like Sakic scores with like within the first, I think, minute or minute and a half, and everything goes crazy. I remember watching it. Very distinct memory I have. Fast forward maybe a few months, my parents had made some friends, and we were over for dinner. I would have been about 10 years old, and they had a son that was about 16. So I think after dinner, he started showing me like the shoebox that he had, all these cards and then these binders, and that was my first introduction to hockey cards. So his collection was primarily like late 90s. Looking back, he might have had like a StarQuest Gold or something. I didn't know the difference.
Maybe.
But I remember seeing like a 97, 98, like those ice products. And those I thought were like the coolest cards ever. So he ended up giving me a few of his doubles, which would have been 97, 98, 98, 99 collector's choice cards. And that was the start of my collection. And naturally, just because of the equipment, I was drawn to the goaltenders. So talk about like goaltenders to really be introduced to. You had Brodeur, Waugh, Hasek, Belfour, and Cujo, and then you had a bunch of other ones. So that was my introduction to sports cards. And the first hobby shop I ever remember walking into was any collectors from Thunder Bay, Ontario around that time would remember I believe it was called Overtime Sports Cards in the Quality Market, which I think is like since closed down because I don't think the Quality Market's a thing anymore. But I remember just going in there, like we didn't have a lot of means at the time. So I just remember just browsing, like, because it was like the mid 2000s, like anything autograph, pack pulled, or memorabilia was all in this like showcase. Yeah. And I just remember like looking at them, and it was just like amazed at like what was possible out there. So that was basically my introduction to collecting. If you want, I can get into what 2005-06 came around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you touched on so much. If you could, kind of what got you started into this kind of endeavor that you kind of find yourself in, in everything 05-06,
Sure. So would have been the 2004-2005 lockout. There was no hockey at the time. So right about that time, we actually moved back to the province of Nova Scotia. And in our neighborhood, there was a ton of kids right around that like 10 to 13-year-old age. And we all just played street hockey together. And they all had their own collections. So 2005-06 would have been the first season I ever watched. And I didn't catch many game live, but like every single day before school, I remember going on NHL.com and just looking at the highlights. And I was like, looking back, it was like extremely grainy image. But man, like that was the best. So 2005-06 specific cards. I remember one of my friends at the time had a 2005-06 Bill Guerin Series 2 jersey card. And it was just like a black swatch. And I wanted it. So at the time, like I only had like 10-cent cards, essentially, like a whole bunch of base. But I ended up, it was my first consolidation. I basically traded him a bunch of my goalie cards or shiny cards or whatever what we called them at the time. And traded up for this Bill Guerin jersey card. And I remember just like holding it and just like kind of like rubbing the swatch.
You got to touch the swatch. It's a guarantee.
Yeah, so that from there on, I wasn't really like a collector of 2005-06. That's just the first one I remember getting. What really got me on 2005-06 was a guy named Ovechkin. I distinctly remember seeing that highlight of the kind of falling on your back and like behind the overhand goal. Man, I thought that was incredible. And just like a style that almost, I don't think anyone else has in the NHL. Like when he first
I
came
don't
in,
think so either.
like the tinted visor, you had the yellow laces, you had the
He was
jersey tuck.
unique.
Like he looked different. Exactly. And which is I was kind of put in like an odd situation because I was in Nova Scotia and everyone was Team Crosby and Pittsburgh at the time. That was like the next
That's right.
big guy, right? Like it didn't sort of the rivalry wasn't as heated at the time as it would be, say, like in 2009 when they first kind of faced off in the playoffs. But like, yeah, it was at that time you were Team Crosby or Team Ovechkin, and I was alone on an island in Team
Wow.
Ovechkin.
Especially out east.
But-
That's a tough life to live, man. Brave of you, really it is.
Yeah. So like I wanted some sort of card of his at the time. So I didn't get any of his rookie cards, especially early on. It was 2006, 2007. The McDonald's series had come out because he wasn't in the 2005-06 McDonald's series. And that was my first card. I think it was card 50 and it was a base card or card 49, kind of like mid shot. And I just remember thinking like that was the coolest because like those McDonald's cards were very shiny as well. So like the aesthetics of it was like top notch for me at the time.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. So whether it be kind of back at that time or even now, I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but obviously seeing how your collection has grown to what it is now, what is it about 0506 cards and products that is so special for you?
Yeah, so initially I was drawn, I'd say, by two things. The rookie crop, just incredible, like looking back at it. Like you had essentially a double rookie crop. And not only are you loaded with like top talent, but you have like what I consider generational talent. Like I know that word gets thrown around a lot. But like in my time watching hockey, I can count maybe 5 that I would really put into that like top tier. So that was number 1. And number 2 was just the aesthetics. I absolutely loved like the look of the cards, the checklists, like 2005, 6, and those early kind of 2000s years of product line, especially when like memorabilia and autographs were kind of fairly new, and like each one essentially had a ton of value collecting wise. You had not only like the rookie crop, you had established stars that like are still collected to this day, Yzerman, Sakic, Belfort, the like. But you also had a ton of memorabilia from the legends, and through the 40s, 50s, 60s, those guys were still signing. Like many of them were alive and signing for card companies, and the memorabilia, especially like in the game, had secured. You couldn't find that now. Like it'd be essentially impossible to replicate.
That is amazing. I mean, just so much to touch on, but now that you start getting into 0506, do you have any particular memories? You did touch on a bit, but do you have any particular memories that now you look back on, and when you were starting to get into 0506 that really kind of are front of mind?
Yeah, so like I said, like that was the first season that I really followed. I caught games here and there. Like not everything was available to me on cable, but I remember really getting into the playoffs. I remember like I loved Rick Jenneret's calls in Buffalo. Like I remember, like I don't know if you guys would remember, but there was a specific hit that Brian Campbell laid on RJ Umberger, and I remember watching that live, and I was just like insane. I haven't seen a hit like that since.
It probably, like when I see it, I'll know it. It doesn't really ring a bell right now, but
yeah, you would know it right away. Yeah.
I would probably know it right away. Amazing.
Yeah, so like it was essentially the playoffs. I remember like Buffalo. There was a crazy series between Buffalo and Ottawa, and then Cam Ward as well. He was kind of the surprise of the playoffs, taking over for Gerber. So yeah, like very fond memories of that specific year, not with the Leafs that I was following, that they didn't really make it. But I had a great time like following the Capitals. Any game between Pittsburgh, Washington at the time was huge, huge TV. And yeah, the playoffs were phenomenal. Unfortunately, because Carolina won, and a lot of people would say it's maybe like not the most talented team that won that year, and especially Canada rooting for Edmonton in the finals.
That run was
but
incredible, though.
Yeah, very underrated playoffs if you go back and watch.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely a fun season. I remember that Campbell hit for sure. Just like an iconic hit in the modern era, I would say. So yeah, I feel like I'll see that highlight like once every like year or so, and it's just like, oh yeah, like that was an awesome moment. Turning to the cards a little bit, what were at the time, or are nowadays, some of your favorite products from 0506?
Well, at the time that I was being introduced to collecting, I had no concept of the cup or anything like that. So it was basically what sort of the neighborhood kids were collecting at the time, which would have been a lot of McDonald's cards. And then in the convenience stores, there was Upper Deck Series 1, 2, and Victory, MVP, that kind of lower end product. And I really didn't have any like concept of like what like the checklist was, other than like the McDonald's, because they actually had like the cards that had the checklist on the back. So there really wasn't like a chase card per se at the time that I first started. It was just like whatever was cool and what I was really drawn to, so like goaltender cards or anything like that. Some really nice products. I mean, some of the ones I mentioned are still my chase cards, especially Victory.
Oh man,
at the time I wasn't aware that there was different parallels yet. So like I had seen maybe 1 or 2 golds at the time, and I didn't know there was any black.
That's amazing.
Same with Upper Deck Series 1 and 2. Like high gloss, I had no concept of. I was just kind of looking at the base cards and a lot of the inserts as well.
It's fair enough. What do you think is, I mean, this is like opening up a can of worms, but what do you think is the best design of 0506?
The best overall, well, I'd say the best overall product, looking back at it now, is 2005-06 the Cup. Like I mean, there's so many retros now created that are trying to replicate that feel, but it's just a product that can never be replicated, like in terms of checklist. And like I said, like a lot of that memorabilia that was included or autographs, like just don't exist anymore.
Yes, that is very much true. Whether it be a product, a set, a specific rookie card, or a parallel from 0506, what do you feel is something in that category that is underrated by people in the hobby today?
Underrated. I would say honestly 2005-06 Parkhurst within that product. So it would be considered lower end today. Yeah, I think it's made a bit of a comeback as well recently. But there's a specific set. It's the Fast Mile autograph set. So it's essentially like a printed autograph on the front of the card.
Yep.
And they're numbered to 100. So the resale value or getting into those cards, especially even like the Ovechkin, Crosby rookies, like it's not going to set you back a lot. But if you look at other of their cards limited to about 100, like it's extremely cheap. And I'm lucky enough that I have the entire parallel set, which would be cards 1 through 700. And I have all like the Crosbys and Ovechkins, but yeah, it doesn't get a lot of love, and I feel like it definitely has room to grow once people maybe catch on to it.
I remember the autographs of Crosby and Ovechkin from that year. I think they were both redemptions, and they were like ghosts, like they were like urban myth back in those days. Yeah, amazing.
I will say as well in that fast mile set or facsimile, whichever way you say it. It does include a Ovechkin scoring that goal. It's a commemorative card specifically to that goal. The only one produced commemorating that goal during his rookie year, and it's numbered out of 100. So there is a base version of it, obviously, but if you're really into something kind of niche or cool, like, yeah, look up that card.
That's awesome. Speaking of just overall products, do you, you know, see a difference between how products were built back in 05, 06 versus how they're built today?
Yeah, so I'm not as in tune with a lot of the products of today just because I don't really collect it. But I do see that there is some innovations in terms of producing like tops now, or like kind of commemorating a moment that has like just recently happened, which is very different, I guess, from like the timeline when you were just producing specific products. Giveaways were a little bit different back then. I do think like it's a little bit concerning the amount of supposed like one of ones we're creating now and just kind of putting into the market, and
There's a
like the
lot.
amount of parallels, I'll say. So I'll give you an example. 2005-6 series 1 and 2. I've had this question many times about, do you have a exclusive for Ovechkin or Crosby? And the answer is no, because it would never produced. So if you were chasing the base card, you could do it like fairly easily. But then if you were chasing any of the high gloss that year, like that was essentially like the only parallel to chase. And now they've made retros and kind of tributes in that to that product. But I think now you have base, high gloss, I want to say midnight, an exclusive, and then I think a few other parallels, maybe 2 or 3 other ones.
There's a
But
lot.
I mean, that can, yeah, like if you're collecting, I don't know, say example like Jacob Slavin, and you're getting 8 of these parallels produced every year, like that can be a lot. I mean, I have enough issue chasing just the high gloss.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I would say like if the hobby like continues to grow exponentially, maybe it'll be enough to support that many one of ones and chase cards. But yeah, I would just be a little bit worried where like one of ones back then were really, really meant something, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely a really good point. Whether it be back at the time or, I know you said you kind of started getting into collecting more in 06, 07, and then kind of looking back at 05, 06. But maybe back in those years, did you have kind of like a dream card from 05, 06 that you wanted to add to your collection? And if so, why that card?
So once I learned that the high gloss existed, I would say it was getting the Ovechkin Young Gun high gloss. That was my pinnacle. Again, like I said, like I didn't really know about Ultimate or the Cup or anything at the time. But yeah, once I learned that high gloss existed, I mean, it took years, many, many years into collecting before I even saw a picture of one. So that was kind of the pinnacle of collecting, if you had asked me back at that time.
That's amazing. I love these stories, around that time. It brings out so much for me. Amazing. But now turning to more specifically your collection at this time, what were some of the first, big cards that you added in your 0506 quest?
Billy Guerin, Series 2. No, I was kidding. It was honestly, it was, if I look back at it, the first patch card of UD Series 1, 2. One of the early ones I added would have been, good question. I think it would have been a Mark Messier.
That's pretty
which,
big.
looking back at it now, like it's a pretty good one. But shortly after, like it honestly didn't take me very long once I got like a little bit more serious into collecting was honestly getting the 2005-6 high gloss rookies of Ovechkin, Crosby. That's kind of what set the whole high gloss mission on, is getting those two cards early.
Well, those are certainly good ones to cross off early, especially compared to what they would sell for nowadays. um, I know that obviously you focus kind of on specific sets from the year, but you do go after the year as a whole. So, can you kind of share a little bit about how the project as a whole has morphed over time?
Yeah, so like I said, initially it was like essentially just getting goalies and anything that was cool. And because of the time I was collecting, I amassed a lot of the cards from those mid 2000s, so like 2005 to about 2008. Then I remember in 2013 or 14, I really decided to go after a few specific sets. And those sets would have been High Gloss, both series, Upper Deck Series 1, 2 patches, and also the jersey cards. And I was very specific actually on the jersey cards, where I only wanted like multicolored sort of swatches just to make it a bit more of a challenge. And then Victory Black. Once I learned that those existed, those were the sets that I was really chasing at the time. And I didn't know anything about basketball cards or kind of the 2005-6 parallels to like 03-04 basketball. But I just figured like those sets, because of Crosby, Ovechkin, and then kind of to a lesser degree, Lundqvist, which was a big chase at the time. Seabrook, Keith, like all those guys, you started to think about it and you're like, wow, this is an incredible rookie class that's going to stand the test of time. And like you mix in a bunch of the legends, you had Howe, Gretzky cards floating around in different products. So I honestly, I couldn't choose in the end which ones to collect exclusively. I just focused on the ones I mentioned, but I wanted essentially everything from those sets.
That's amazing. Do you have any of your favorite kind of like non-valuable cards from 05-06 that you really like?
Yeah, so many. So there's different attributes that different collectors have prioritized. Like some people are all about grade, others are about like autograph quality. I love patches. That's kind of my thing. Patches, swatches, that kind of stuff. So I have many cards that like have intricate, very special patches, especially like when you can sort of pinpoint where on the jersey comes from, like the head of a Penguin or the head of the old Atlanta Thrashers, stuff like that. Like I love that. And then some of the Shield cards as well. A lot of the players may be long forgotten, but definitely early cards that I picked up that would just became like the cornerstone of my PC at the time.
Nice. Yeah, can't go wrong with some of those the branding from that era, some of the really cool logos and the patches that they would produce. So that's definitely really cool. You touched on some of the sets like the high gloss cards and the UD game patches and stuff like that. But I know obviously there are other sets you collect as well. So what are some of the other sets that you focus on the most, and what kind of drew you to those as well?
So once like I had been a few years then into collecting 2005-06, I then started to focus on a lot of the rookies. So a lot of Ovechkin, a lot of Crosby. But in doing that, I was introduced to many other sets that like I didn't really know about at the time. So Lost from the Cup. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up a 99 the Cup when I should have. I can distinctly remember being offered for like, so 2 Crosbys, 2 Ovechkins at prices that like
Wow.
are no brainers at this point. So little bit of regret there, but I picked up enough cards for my collection that it doesn't hurt too bad. Set wise, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to go on to the next question, but feel free to continue.
Yeah, set wise, I started focusing a little bit more on some of the cup, the really rare stuff. So like black parallels base out of one. Some of the legendary cuts that you just never see surface. And then a lot of the ultimate stuff is really like a really big part of the collection now. Ultimate produced a great product line that year.
Amazing. And I mean, you touched on, some cards there that you were able to, land for your collection, but are there some cards that, and we don't want to spoil too much, but are there some cards that felt like really, really good to cross off the list? Like we all have those ones in our minds that we remember felt really, really good. What are some of those cards for you?
So I don't think I'll be spoiling too much by saying like the Crosby Ovechkin high gloss were insane to cross off. So I'll tell you a little story about how that came to be. This would have been back on the Hobby Insider forums. This would have been about 2014. I took a shot in the dark. I said, if anyone has a Crosby or an Ovechkin high gloss young gun, please let me know. And I just kind of left it there. Within, I want to say 2 weeks, I got a message. And the message just simply said, here you go, link. And the link was to Craigslist in Vancouver. And
Wow.
I clicked on it and I'm like, wow, like those were the two cards. And they were by one owner. So immediately I reached out. I didn't have the funds for this at the time either. Like I would have been first or second year university, didn't have a lot of spare cash on me at the time. So it was just a shot in the dark, just to see what he was looking for. So he eventually got back to me and said he named a price. I think it was 20. I think he wanted 2,600 for the pair, Canadian.
Jeez, man.
I didn't have 2,600 for the pair, so I negotiated. I think I got him down to 2450 or something like that. Anyway, we agreed. Now I had to come up with cash. So what I did was I was working on a partial 1957 top set in PSA 7 and 8 grade. So I had a look at the collection and I made the decision, I can get these cards back. I will never have another opportunity like this. So I reached out to a few people that were interested in the set, and I pieced out enough, came up with the money. During my selling off of my partial set, the seller in Vancouver reached out to me saying that there was a local buyer that was willing to pay full price. But he's a man of his word, and he would hold it for me until I got the cash. I told him what I was doing. So I got the cash, sent him the money, and the member, his name's Kevin, who sent me that link on Hobby Insider, met the seller for me and then shipped me the cards. And that was just a huge relief. I still remember I opened up the package at the kitchen table, and I just could not believe that I was holding both. And like at the time, I think in those days, like I had no idea what the comps were. I'd never even seen a picture of either of them. So I had no idea what a starting offer would have been. I negotiated based on what he was looking for, and I secured them. I had no idea if I had overpaid at the time, but looking back, it was a pretty good deal.
It's like the deal of the century. Jeez, that's amazing. I just so good. So good. I love that story.
Yeah, I'd say you did all right.
Yeah, there was that card, and I'll tell you another card that I was super surprised to ever get. So it was the high gloss checklist for Crosby and Perry. So they were on one card together. Again, had never seen this card. I knew it existed just because of the amount of high gloss cards I collected at that time. Like that, for sure, there's been a parallel produced of all 487. So you do your daily searches, you scour the internet. So it was like a lot of forums back then, and eBay essentially. So I see a listing one day. This would have been in 2017. I see this listing, and it is a Crosby Perry, but the border looked a little bit different. So I clicked on the link, and zooming in, I could tell like there is a distinct shine off of this border. And I looked at the back. There was no serial number. So I was like, am I seeing this right? Anyway, I reached out to him and I said, is that the card you're looking to sell? Like some people will use like stock images or not essentially the real card that they're selling, especially for a lot of low end. So it's like, yep, that's it. Couldn't have hit buy it now quicker. I was willing to take that chance. And I think altogether I paid $10 for my high gloss. So what I tell people is like, be an expert in whatever it is you're collecting, because without the knowledge or without knowing what you're looking at, that like both those opportunities could have passed me by.
That is absolutely wild. And yeah, I remember it was probably when you were posting about it back at the time, but I know in my head, like, yeah, those cards weren't serial numbered. So yeah, like who knows what ended up happening, why that happened. But yeah, like, I mean, like you said, like you knew, hey, like this is the gold color. It's a little bit glossier. Like this is the card, even though it doesn't necessarily have all the signs of it, but that's what it is. So yeah, I mean, to get a card like that for $10, my goodness, that's spectacular. I know obviously the collection has grown a lot over the years, and you've continued chipping away at your lists and stuff. So what is the ultimate goal for the project?
It's funny. Just enjoy it. That's my ultimate goal. I have
Well
such a
said.
wide array of products to chase that there will never be an end. I would have to be like an ultra millionaire, maybe billionaire, to like complete it. And even then, like I've sort of started to dabble just a little bit outside of the 2005-06, just based on my own like convictions, but still strictly within hockey. But yeah, it's always going to be 2005-06 for me.
That's amazing. I really love that. Just enjoy it. It's such a, especially these days with so much hyper focus on, the next upcoming rookie or, breaking, like all this just money in the hobby now. It's a concept that I don't know if everyone really, enjoys it sometimes. And I think it's something that a lot of people need to hear. So very, very well said. And speaking of your ultimate goal, as you kind of chug along here, do you have any, what are your top wants in your collection right now?
Top wants. Some of the bigger name cards that I'm missing from the Victory Black set. And I mean, like, some of the stuff from the Cup, like I'll always chase, the Crosbys, the Ovechkins, some of the Gretzky's so like kind of the top echelon players from, I'd say, top end products, plus like from my sets. Those would definitely be my top ones. And going back to the earlier point, I just want to say that I know like there are people that get stressed out when they start putting it like sets together, or like get bummed out that they can't find anything. Like I've gone months, maybe even close to a year without finding like a Victory Black, or months without a high gloss. But I'm always looking. I think most of the fun is actually the hunt, and then once it ends,
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
all right, like, like glad to check it off the list, but like, I don't know, I won't be looking for it anymore. It's kind of sad.
Yes, 100%. That is very true. We've got a comment with questions from Greg. Thanks for tuning in, Greg. Appreciate it. Yes, he does still have those high glosses, and yes, we will see them. We're going to flip over to a little bit of show and tell in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a very, very fun part of the show. So yeah, we're going to see some awesome cards. But while we're still in the Q&A session before we get to that top 25 list, is there anything else that you want to share about your collection or any topics that you want to discuss?
I actually had a question for Aaron.
Yes.
I just wanted, so I know you're a goaltender or play goal.
I do play
and
goal.
you had
Yes.
spoken to Jonas Enroth, correct?
Yes.
I was actually curious. So I myself play net. Whenever I play hockey, especially through university, that was I used to do that on like whenever I had some breaks between studying. I'd always suit up and go find the nearest beer league game or shinny or whatever, and just suit up, right? I wanted to actually ask you about the current state of goaltending in terms of like the sort of the techniques that they use with the reverse VH, because it's very different from, I guess, when I was introduced to it, where it used to be sort of like the VH version and kind of like hug the post. I was wondering, like, what kind of style do you still use, or did you adapt to like kind of the newer style of goaltending?
This is a question that I didn't think I'd be asked, and that is awesome. I love a good technical goalie talk. I've taught a little bit as well, and it's just always been super fun. And still a student of the game, although my body is starting to fight me at this point. I'm 32, but I love a good goalie chat. I'll try and keep this brief because our listeners might get too bored. But no, that's a really good question. So regarding the reversed VH, that's when a goalie, for those listening, they kind of put their pad, their left pad, if they're hugging the left post down, and then they'll sort of lean against the post with their glove straight up, or sometimes hugging around the post. There's many ways to do it, trying to block that side there. And a lot of times there is a lot of criticism now on goalies going into that reverse VH too soon, and then they leave the upper portion of the net open, versus say a VH, which started to get introduced, I would say probably 05, 06, that range of time, where they would do the opposite. Instead of flattening out the closest pad to the post, they would bring it parallel to the post and flatten the opposite pad down to the ground, creating sort of like an L shape with their pads. So that was the VH there. So that is making a little bit more of a comeback, I've noticed, because goalies sometimes are getting burned by the constant use of the reverse. And so they're kind of staying tall a little bit and using that a little bit more. The reason why it was kind of adapted at first was to cover that post, and then it was sort of phased out because once you lock yourself in that position with the VH, it's very difficult to kind of maneuver. There was ways to do it, but it is kind of cumbersome a little bit. So that's where the reverse VH comes in, although there is some downsides. There's pros and cons to each, but I would like to think of it as, instead of locking yourself into a reverse, I would just say use it selectively, like any other safe selection, whether you use a reverse VH or just a VH, and be flexible and just try and gauge the situation instead of using it as a default. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling on. So as far as myself goes, I did, I was brought up with the VH, the OG VH, and that's how I was taught. And so when I started playing beer league again, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I did sort of slowly, very slowly, integrate the VH into my game, which I still use it today. So I do use a combination of both. The hips don't like it. Some days it is very aggressive on the hip with the reverse, but it is a good save selection, when it's used appropriately. So anyway, that's sort of long story short. I love a good technical bit of goalie talk. So that's my answer if it's suitable.
Yeah, that was a bit of a goalie nerd question. I apologize.
No, it's definitely it's okay. I love a good goalie talk. Feel free to message me or anything if you want to, deep dive into it more. This is it's what I'm all about. I've definitely researched a lot about both, whether it be the reverse or the standard VH. So the VH is making a comeback, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, I suspect there'll be a balance of both moving forward. Because yeah, it's hard to rely on solely one or the other. Anyway, so I guess we'll move on. Thanks for the question.
Awesome. Well, before we get into show and tell, is there anything else you want to talk about or ask, Isaias?
No, yeah, we can get it right into it.
All right, sounds good. We will do that. I know, I'll let you lead kind of as we go through this. I know you had some honorable mention stuff that you wanted to go through before we get into a more formal top 25. So we'll start with your honorable mention stuff.
Sure.
It's going to be a great show.
Yes, it will. Absolutely. So wherever you would like to start, feel free.
Sure. Are you just gonna pull the pictures up there on the screen? I think I have a few honorable mentions. You can start with whichever one. That's fine.
Okay. We will start with Mr. Luongo.
Sure. So this is a 2005-6. I guess I don't have to preface that for a lot of these. This is from the Power Play product. Actually, I do have an unopened box here. You can see kind of what they look like.
I would say
I love Power Play.
That was one of my favorite products from the year.
Yes, and it was very affordable. So it kind of meant for beginner collectors, but low end, extremely limited cards is kind of my bread and butter. So there was an Impact parallel set, or a Rainbow parallel set, as some would call it, and it was limited to the feature player's jersey number. So Luongo wearing number 1 for his career. This is it. This is the only one, and I find it interesting that they included the 0 in front of the O, or in front of the 1. Not very often do you see that. So there's the
Good
Luongo,
point.
and then the Ray. Yeah, the Raycroft as well is a 1-of-1. I've never seen that card, but I'd love to add it. But
Maybe
now
it's
that
in the box.
Luongo's had a well-established career, yeah, it could be in one of the boxes I have here. But yeah, now he's a Hall of Famer, and it's this was another one of those eBay no-brainer grabs when it was first listed.
Nice. I'm sure our buddy Chris Pryor would be salivating at this card. So
I'm sure that and a lot of other player collectors.
Yep. Yeah, definitely a really cool parallel set. I was thinking about these parallels last night, kind of just thinking about the product, and obviously knowing we were going to record today, and thinking there were just so many awesome, extremely tough cards in that set, or in the product. Obviously the patch cards out of 5 right up there as well. So even though it was a super low end set, it was a very well done product. And honestly, I kind of wish we still had stuff like that today, where you could open a box and you're guaranteed a jersey card. You're guaranteed the other thing was the rookie redemptions, where you get a little set of cards. I mean, what other product from the year were you guaranteed a 50-50 shot of getting a Crosby or Ovechkin rookie card? Probably that was it, right?
Yeah, that was I think it was class A through D, I want to say, that there was you got essentially a portion of the rookies. Yeah, really interesting. And the thing about these parallels too is you almost have to take a second glance because what stands out is the foil. The foil is kind of that like reflective foil. So if you're just kind of going through your cards very quickly, it's a very good chance you'd miss one of these. So it's a part of the reason why they're so tough to find is many people who have them might not even know they do.
It's a good point. Absolutely. All right, we'll move on to the next one here. Let's see. I'll let you lead. You tell me what you want to go to next.
Sure. Let's go to the Crosby autograph and PSA holder.
That is an iconic card for sure.
I love these cards.
So yeah, so people that aren't familiar with this card was an absolute ghost. Like there was myth that like this card was not even produced. So where it was inserted was a Upper Deck made a commemorative set for Sidney Crosby, 25 card set plus an oversized card, if I remember correctly. And then they released a silver version and a gold version later on. The gold version doesn't have any premium or isn't like any more rare. It's just I think the time that they were produced. But they specifically highlight at the front of the card or at the front of the box set that there was a chance you could get a Sidney Crosby autograph. Now, when I was looking for this card, I was looking through forums and I found one from I think 2010, right around that time, that someone claimed that a buddy of theirs' son had pulled one, but like there was no corresponding picture. So this sat for years, like on my want list of like, well, should I take it off because there's no confirmation that it existed. Anyway, I think it was on eBay. Yeah, it was on eBay where this first popped up, and he wanted like an astronomical number. Essentially, I made a trade. This was when you could message through eBay and like kind of set up a trade offline.
Yep.
Can't do that now. But yeah, I set up a trade and we were both happy with it. And then I actually ended up picking up a second copy right around the pandemic, which I've then since sold to fund another card. But this is the only PSA 10, and I believe the only two created by PSA were mine. So there is a PSA 9 that is sold, and then I kept the 10.
Amazing. Yeah, I remember how ghostly these cards were. Just the myth that were they or weren't they made. I remember ripping one of the boxes years ago, like trying to find one as well. So no luck, but yeah, it's a stunning card. I remember when you first showed me, I guess one of your show and tells on a forum, and you showed this card, and that was my first time seeing one as well. It was just stunning.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those cards where it's like it might not, catch people's attention as much as like a Cup RPA, obviously, or even like a Future Watch Auto or something. But it's one of those cards where it's like if like how incredibly tough and how special these cards are. So, for anyone that kind of gets that, you're looking at this and you're seeing this isn't even in his top 25. Like that shows you how awesome of a show and tell is still yet to come. So, awesome card. And like Aaron, I also remember opening a box of that product, hoping to get that card, and obviously didn't. But awesome card to see. And, like you said, you'd pretty much never see them. So yeah, very cool.
And the thing about too, like when I first really started to get serious collecting, my philosophy at the time was just chasing anything that was like really, really, really rare. And that's part of the reason why I passed on Cup RPAs, because there was 99. So, I mean, there were so many cards were numbered around that 100 mark. So anything that was like 25 and less, I was all over, which unfortunately I passed on a few big cards that'd be valuable today, but I have so many of these like really limited cards that I'll live with it.
Absolutely. All right, on to the next one. You thinking the how?
Yeah, let's go how.
Love it. I love the
So this
inscription that he
is
does.
from Ultimate. Oh yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, he's since passed, and his autographs are basically only available through stickers on the newer products. But yeah, this is a hard signed card, limited to just 6 copies. This was another card that I just had never seen. So when it popped up in an auction, I was all over it. Very clean design. There's a few actually like big names within the set, and many stars as well that like are limited to like 2 or 3 copies. But this is one of the biggest ones, and there's only 6 of them. So if you're a big How collector like this is probably higher up on your list if you're like patches aside. And yeah, just a great overall design, clean auto, and like you said, the inscription is just bonus there.
I feel like sets from this era, this is one of like the more underappreciated sets, especially nowadays. I know back at the time they were super hot cards, and a lot of that coming from the scarcity. But I remember, these ultimate achievement cards from 05, 06, 06, 07, 07, 08 had huge demand and huge value, especially for the more limited ones. So yeah, I know when you sent me this one the other night, I was like, oh man, like that's a big card.
I want to say there is a Gretzky in the set, and it's very, very limited. I want to say like 3 copies. I'd have to, actually no, the Wah is out of 3 copies. Gretzky, I'd have to double check on but I haven't seen one, so we'll see if it exists.
Awesome. Let's see.
And I think I just have one more there.
Okay. Is it the Turk?
It's the 2 Gretzkys.
Okay, gotcha. Here we go.
So this is what I was mentioning earlier. This is what the 2005-06 UD Series 1 and 2 patches look like. So you can see the UD Series 1, the first one there, 6 out of 15. The patch windows on those were bigger. So the outline, I think, is the same size, but the actual available patch window is bigger. And then Series 2, you can see kind of on the right side, and it has a white outline. So when I first started collecting this set, these were impossible to find, even tracking like other Gretzky collectors and like to see if anyone had even knew where one of these copies were. Just, yeah, didn't exist according to my research. So when I got the Gretzky Series 2 first, and that was at an auction, and the thing is, like through the pandemic and as the prices for everything rose, it really brought out a lot of collections to surface.
Yeah.
Before that, they had just kind of remained, in shoe boxes or tucked away. But yeah, so at that time is when things really started to open up in terms of some of the collections that at that point were like 15 years looking, or I'd been tucked away for 15 years. So yeah, I got the Series 2 first, and Series 1 I think I secured in 2024. So I knew of one copy before this. That would have been on the Buy It Now, I think, on the PWCC. I think it was 7 out of 15, but it was a solid great patch. So, and I think it was graded BGS, BGS 7 or 8. So I actually decided to wait a little bit on that one because I knew there were 3 color copies that existed, and yeah, lo and behold, it was 2024 before I finally crossed that one off the list.
Patience paid off.
Yeah, that's I guess that's another maybe philosophy I have too, is extreme patience when it comes to this stuff. I'll wait around for the right copy, even if it's a card that I've been chasing for like a decade.
Man, that is like insanity to the next level in a good way, but still insane. I respect it. I could never do it though, but I respect it.
Yeah, just awesome cards. I mean, can't go wrong with nice Gretzky memorabilia, but obviously being cards that are so difficult to find, definitely strikes a chord for sure. So those are awesome. I think we've got one more honorable mention that I'll throw up here real quick. I know Aaron and I were talking about this one before you jumped on, and just an awesome, awesome card.
So this is from 2005-6 in the game Ultimate. Unfortunately, a product we no longer have, but very if you're talking about underappreciated, it's the early ITG in the game stuff.
Yep.
Like the amount of innovation and memorabilia quality, and even I guess in this case autograph quality, just is like unmatched today. So this is the Lumbergraphs Turk Broda. Like I said, like I grew up a Leafs fan, so like I was researching all things Leafs at the time, and this is essentially like you have to go this far back when they were winning cups.
Yep.
But this was the guy here, Turk Broda, and yeah, like to find a signature of his was incredible. Like this doesn't come around every day.
Stunning card. And yeah, the old in the game, it's very nostalgic, and just the memorabilia is just unmatched, and even the designs back then were really, really good. And I totally agree.
Awesome. So again, everybody, these are cards that didn't make the cut for the top 25. So definitely a lot of really, really awesome stuff still to come. So to formally get into the top 25, we will start off with this spectacular card at number 25.
So this here's a 2005-6 SP Authentic 6-star signatures card. It's serial number 2 out of 5, and it features most of the like prominent rookies, or a good portion of them anyway, in Ovechkin, Phaneuf, Perry, and then you got Carter, Brule, and Vanek. This was a card that I had been chasing for years, and I had never seen it. Actually, no, I had seen one picture, and it was in a really big Carter PC at the time, which I believe that collector now has since sold off the majority, if not all, of his collection. But yeah, this one I just could not get my hands on. Been looking for years on it, and then again, like right around the pandemic, this one popped up, and I quickly made a deal on this card, and yeah, we'll never part with it now.
It's amazing. I love that. And are those all hard signed autographs?
They look like it, right? No,
do.
They're not, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm not too big of a, I guess like a stick, like a sticker won't necessarily dissuade me depending on how rare it is, and this is kind of in that ballpark. If it's something that's
for sure
readily available, like 100 copies or something, like something little bit higher, I'll wait on for sure. But yeah, at first glance, they do look like hard signed autos for sure.
It's great. No, I figured I'd ask just because, like, the earlier SP Authentic stuff, a lot of them did have hard signed autographs, even for the crazy multiplayer stuff. I know that a lot of them were hard signed, so I just figured I'd ask. But great card.
Yeah, I think many of the multiple autographs, like the 4s, 5s, and 6s, had a lot of stickers. When you get into like rookie authentics, obviously like the Future Watch patches, those were all hard signed.
Makes sense. Yeah, definitely a monster of a card. It always kind of makes you wonder, like on a piece like this, like why, not that it really matters, but like why is Phaneuf above Ovechkin? Like it seems like you'd want the best guy on top, but who knows?
Well, yeah, I guess you have to kind of get the context of the time. Like Phaneuf was, I think he was third in Calder voting, or fourth maybe with Lundqvist. But he was a huge star coming out of junior. Like he had his World Juniors cup or gold medal wins. I think over Ovechkin actually at the time. Perry, I believe, was on the team. Carter. I can't really speak for Brule, but he was a high pick. I want to say like 5th or 6th overall. Yeah, like in context of the time, this would have been like an absolute monster, just missing Crosby. Like, especially because this was a sticker auto, and I know he didn't do multiples at the time, maybe still doesn't. Yeah, just sticking a Crosby on there, I probably would have put it out of reach for me, so maybe it's for the best.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point for sure. And yeah, I believe Brule was 6th overall in that 05 draft right after Carey Price. So kind of funny how steep of a drop off there was between those picks, but you know, that's how the draft goes sometimes. So yeah, definitely a spectacular card though, for sure. So moving on to number 24. And for just a little bit of a disclaimer, some of these have multiple cards kind of grouped together because, you know, as you guys see, trying to just pick a pure top 25 would be nearly impossible. So some of them are kind of similar types of cards grouped together. So this is the first iteration of that concept, but we'll see that more moving forward. But anyway, on to number 24.
Nice.
So this is from 2005-6 Ultimate. They're the Ultimate debut thread. So you see the patch at a 60 on the left-hand side and an impossible to find 4-color jersey card. So those are at a 250. The 4-color versions of the jersey, I think I've only seen 3. There's been a few 3 colors and a lot of 2, but to get 4 colors together is next to impossible. And then the patch on the debut threads just speaks for itself.
Yeah, that patch is insane. And even the debut threads there, the jersey version is yeah, I totally see what you mean about the swatch there, the 4-color, just impossible to find.
Yeah, and yeah, I think the jersey I picked up on a classified ads that we have here in Canada called Kijiji.
Nice.
I picked up, I think, two or three cards, and I was doing a lot of that back in the day to get good deals on stuff. They're a bit tougher to find now. And the patch, I believe, was just from a fellow Hobby Insider member back in the day. But yeah, when I mean like casting a wide net to find what you're looking for, I mean like classified ads, Facebook.
That's pretty wide.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, obviously both cards are spectacular and you can't go wrong with a really nice patch like that. But to me, it's almost like, you know, like you said, knowing how hard it is to find a 4-color, like that almost speaks more to me, because I'm sure there are quite a few copies of the patch card that have patches of that quality. So it's, you know, but being able to find a 4-color jersey piece, like you said, far more difficult. So that almost kind of speaks more to me in a way, just knowing how tough it is.
Yeah, and that's a lot of my collection. I make it needlessly difficult for myself. Like I said, with like the 2005-6 series 1 and 2, just even jersey cards, I'm very patient to find, if I know they exist, 2 to 3, maybe even 4 color copies, and I'll pass on single and duals all day.
Yeah, definitely helps take the collection to the next level, just being able to kind of get like the very best of the best for sure. So that's awesome. Moving on to number 23. These are a couple of parallels that are, I would say, very underappreciated. So yeah, to have both of these guys is definitely really, really cool.
Nice.
So these are from 2005-6 Beehive. They're the matte parallel. They have a really unique sort of like picture frame feel when you hold them.
I love those frames.
So the kind of the yellowish border pops off the card, almost creating this additional frame. Yeah, I got the Ovechkin very early on. I want to say like 2015. And I mean, at the time, I think they were like $250. I thought that they were like extremely underrated at the time. Crosby was much later on. He seems to be more readily available, the Crosby copy in comparison to the Ovechkin. Even through like the gold chase, and you saw all these rare Ovechkin cards surface for the first time in years. I think I only saw one other Ovechkin, so I was very, very happy to cross that one off. That was a big one, and yeah, if you had asked me back at the time, say 2015, if I would have rather this Matt Parallel versus like I don't know, something from the cup that was at a 99, I would have gone with this one.
That's a sign of a true collector. You know, they're seeing value where no one else really does. You know, partially because they've been chasing the set so long, they know how hard these are to find. So it's fantastic. Oh, I think you're muted, Eric.
I am, my bad. For the next one, we'll jump over kind of away from the big two rookies. We'll go to just a really, really nice memorabilia card, again from Ultimate Collection.
Yeah, so this is the dual patches from or for Howe and Yzerman out of 25. The really neat thing, aside from like the patches itself and the like the sort of name brand between the two of them, Howe, I have never seen a dual color. This is from all the copies that I've seen, it's just been the solid sort of off color or off white color patch. But the Yzermans can get pretty intricate. I've seen some really nice like winged, kind of the spokes of the wheel, and also kind of the feathers off the wheel. Yeah, so this was a deal between myself and a big Red Wings collector who had held this on for years and years, and every few years I would ask to see if this was available, if he was looking to sell, and eventually, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, we were able to come to a deal. And yeah, it's a incredible card to just look at.
Two Red Wings legends right there. Just amazing. Great card.
Yeah, definitely a big one. Hard to beat vintage memorabilia like that. So definitely a very, very nice card. On to the next one. I believe we're at number 21. Another really nice memorabilia card. And this one, of course, having the name power, but also the scarcity behind it.
Said the kid.
Yes. So this is from 2005-06 in the game Heroes and Prospects. Another really underrated set, and not overly expensive, especially back at that time to get into. Lots of great parallels and early cards of Ovechkin and Crosby. And one thing I'll say about those early ITG products, that's all game used memorabilia. I know like some of it might be unlicensed, especially for that time. But if you think about it, Crosby essentially had game used memorabilia scattered throughout Upper Deck products, mostly in Ultimate and the Cup. And Ovechkin was essentially strictly the Cup. So the only other avenue to get game used memorabilia is through the ITG products or in the game products. So I've been happy to pick up a bunch of cheap ones, and like essentially this card, like this didn't set me back too far, like especially what you think today. But this is the gold version of the complete jersey set. So each gold version was out of 1. So this is it, and I think the silver is out of 10. And it has game used memorabilia from, I think there was an 03 Russia Canada series that he would have participated in, and that's where this memorabilia comes from.
Wow. It's fantastic.
It's like looking back at him and Rimouski, like it's crazy to think that like he's in the twilight of his career now. It's time goes by quick.
Definitely does. This reminds me of A couple months ago, I was traveling out east actually to your stomping ground, to Nova Scotia, and I actually did visit. Had some downtime. I was visiting for work, but I actually did drive over to Cole Harbor, and I visited Sidney Crosby's rink there, and they have a little shrine to him and everything like that, which was really cool. So, yeah, I love that stuff, and just this it definitely is weird, seeing that he's
Did
in
you see
the twilight. What did I see?
Did you see the sign, the sign with next to the Walmart?
Oh yeah, the sign. Yeah, the home of Sidney Crosby and all that. Yeah, I did. I definitely did. I took a picture of it and everything. You had to get a picture of that sign, and yeah, it was amazing. So really, really cool experience there.
Yeah, when I used to go to Moosehead games back in the day, they used to have like a. It's been a few years since I've been there, so I'm not sure if this is still there. I'm hoping it is. But they used to have a Hall of Fame for like Nova Scotia athletes, and they used to have, I believe, the famed dryer that he used to shoot pucks at,
Oh no way!
and they used to have the 2010 Olympic stick, puck, and gloves. I want to say all on display. Those might be in the Hall of Fame now. I'm not
I
sure, but
think they are in the Hall of Fame because I did go to the Hall of Fame last year,
okay.
and I saw that stuff, and then I went to Cole Harbor earlier this year, and I didn't see any of that stuff. So it very could well be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a few years, like I said, but that was super cool. I have one of his. I want to say it's a practice stick from that time, so it's like the same model of
Nice.
the Reebok. I forget what the exact model is, but yeah, the ones he would have used in 2010.
It's cool.
Very cool. Yeah, awesome card. I love the memorabilia. Obviously, very easily recognizable from those CHL like special events jerseys. So definitely a really cool card, and yeah, can't go wrong with in the game stuff from back when Dr. Price was in charge. So definitely a really cool card. We'll move on to number 20, which is a few cards, kind of from one of your bread and butter sets of flagship high gloss.
Yeah, so these are the sort of the next tier down from the two big ones. This is kind of where I'm like, you put some of like the ultra stars or like really like first ballot Hall of Famers, but not necessarily their young guns, or they're like true rookie young guns, I guess you could say. And then there's Lundqvist, which I think is, I mean, the debate is always between like him and Price on like who has the kind of the better career, which I give to Lundqvist for longevity, but Price's peak was higher, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Just
definitely.
wasn't as long. But yeah, these three are. If you were ever going to attempt this crazy mission that I'm doing in terms of high gloss, like these are next to impossible to find now. The Lundqvist came from a massive Lundqvist collection. I want to say in 2018 or 2019. I was able to secure a few really top end Lundqvist rookies. This one among them, and then I told the story, I guess, of the Crosby Perry high gloss and how that came to be. The Ovechkin Carter one was a random, a random message from Facebook saying that they had one and they'd be willing. They must have seen my other post looking for it. But yeah, that one was a no-brainer deal as well. I didn't get it for $10, unfortunately. But yeah, super happy to have that one. And an interesting note about that card. If you look at the difference between the two checklists, the Ovechkin and Carter don't have any foil. And that's true for all of the cards, even the base.
Wow.
None of the foil showing young guns or any sort of stamping exists on these cards. Aside from, I think there's one copy that I've seen that
think we froze a little bit,
I
but
think so.
it's all good. I'm sure he'll jump back in a second. But yeah, it's interesting how that kind of happens, and it's also interesting how like they both had their like their weird difficulties production wise, like how the Crosby Perry was not serial numbered, like it missed the serial number, and then the Ovechkin Carter in series 2 didn't have any foil on it at all.
Yeah,
So
it's strange. And he was just dropped from the call, so I'm sure he'll be back on soon.
yep.
That's all right. But yeah, it is weird that stuff happens. Kind of cool. And it's always nice from, a set collector to really, point out those differences. And, he's an expert on everything 0506. So if there's anyone to kind of point out those differences, it's him. I didn't realize that there was a difference there, but, it's always fun to hear that stuff. All those little quirks and stuff like that. So a great batch of cards, that's for sure. And the Lundqvist there too. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a big time card there for sure. And it's kind of well, we can ask him this when he gets back. I know he's trying to reconnect. He lost internet connection for a second, but
Okay.
kind of hearing like obviously you have Crosby and Ovechkin as like the clear cut top two of that rookie class, but then that kind of second tier below them, there were so many guys, that even back at the time, and then, fast forward basically 20 years now, yeah, there's been a little bit of shuffling there, but, there's just so many guys in that kind of next tier, whether it be a Lundqvist, whether it be a Duncan Keith, whether it be, Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf, whether it be, even Dion Phaneuf, while he didn't necessarily have the career that people might have thought he was going to have, he was still a very solid NHL player for a long time. And there's so many guys that kind of fit into that next tier. Brent Seabrook, Ryan Suter, Mikko Koivu, Zach Parise. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on and on of how many amazing players there were in this rookie crop. So definitely Lundqvist is right up there, and Isaias is back with us. So we were we were just talking a little bit about obviously you have Crosby and Ovechkin as the 1 and 2 of the rookie crop, but then when you jump down to that second tier, you've got guys like Lundqvist and Duncan Keith and Parise, Suter, Getzlaf, Perry. The list goes on and on. So in your mind, who's kind of that number 3 nowadays? Would you say it's Lundqvist?
Sorry. Number 3 in that class or number 3 today?
Number 3, I guess, today. Don't know if we lost him again.
Nope, do that, you guys?
I can hear you a little bit, yes. Hopefully we didn't lose you again. Maybe he got cut off again. The joys of a live show. Yeah, he did. That's okay. It happens. We just got to keep rolling. I'm sure he'll be back on soon. But yeah, definitely a great debate of who's kind of number 3 in that class. It's hard to say. He's back again.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
I think
yes.
we're good.
Okay. So I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I guess we'll move on to the next one, I guess.
Well, sorry, what was your question?
I guess we were just saying who is kind of the top 3 nowadays, in your opinion? Yeah. Top 3 nowadays. I don't know if you have an opinion on that.
I don't think his internet likes the question very
I
much.
don't think so here. I guess we'll just make our own opinions on who the top 3 is, and then see if his internet comes in. But no, that's fair. Yeah, the joys of a live show. That's all right. Yeah, dropped again. That's okay. I'm sure we'll have him back soon. But yeah, awesome. I guess if you want to move on to the next one, we can start fresh whenever he's good. Or
yeah, we can.
Don't know.
We can do that. Let's see here.
And apologies, everyone. This is again the joys of a live show. But
yeah, it happens.
These things happen. So
it is what it is.
Bearing with us. It's all right.
Let's see here. We'll get it up on the screen, and then if he rejoins us, we can.
Oh yeah, nice.
Go into it.
The
But
one-on-one versions.
Yeah. So this is obviously number 19 at this point on the list, and this is a 0506, of course, Black Diamond Onyx 1 of 1.
I love the Onyx. Those were iconic. They should still do that. The Onyx parallels for a couple of years there were just really, really nice. Hard to spot if you didn't know what you were really looking for, but definitely well worth it because they're just stunning cards if you've never seen them. So just amazing.
Yeah, definitely a cool old school shot there, and
black and white.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. It's like seeing that like just makes it feel almost more unique because like you're so used to just seeing color photos on cards in this era, of course, understandably so. So it's just kind of something a little bit different, and then you add in a huge name like that and a 1 of 1. I mean, you can't go wrong. So let's see here. Sounds like we're gonna wait a minute and see if his internet will kind of reset after a minute. So.
No worries. But yeah, I really like how they did that black and white shot there. And speaking of Lundqvist, actually, I was speaking about this card before the pod went live, but I went to a little festival here in town, and they actually had a random hockey card booth set up. So one of the little vendors. So I ended up picking up a handful of cards, and one of them was this, speaking of Lundqvist, this really cool 0708 victory card of Lundqvist, and nice little EA Sports face-off insert. And you can see on the back there, NHL 08, just a little, fact about the game there, which is cool. I've always liked these, those video game cards. So I figured, you guys are talking about Lundqvist. Figured I'd kind of showcase that there. Newest little pickup. It's a little small card, but it's fun anyway. So I think we're back. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're back. Awesome. Okay, good. So we were just kind of explaining. We were probably doing a poor job of it. You can kind of give us some more background on this card here, this Onyx parallel here. So whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Yeah, so this is a 2005 6th Black Diamond Onyx parallel. So Black Diamond produced, I think, 4 different parallels. So it would have been the ruby, the emerald, the gold, and then these Onyx parallels, which were out of 1. So this is the PAL 1 of 1. This one came from Klutz and Chara, their store. They had it in their store, and I was able to reach out to them online and come to a deal. But very unassuming cards. The only way to really tell is sort of like the beigeish color at the bottom. I'm assuming that's what they were saying was onyx colored. And then the reverse, which unfortunately I didn't include a picture here, but the 1 of 1 stamp underneath their stats. So I've been able to accumulate actually a number of these 1 of 1s. I want to say it's something like 12 or 13 from the set. And I do know that the Crosby is out there somewhere. I saw an article in one of the old Beckett magazines that someone had pulled it, and I haven't heard about the Ovechkin being pulled, so I have no idea where that card would be. Maybe still in a box somewhere, still to be pulled.
You never know. That's the fun part of it. When we're looking through our want lists, and you're looking at the rare cards, and you're like, man, there's only like one or two of these, but maybe it is still in a box. So that's what I like to think, when I look at my want list and I see the cards that I've never seen, a picture of. I'd like to think, well, it's because it's still in a box, so don't worry about it. So anyway, that's the little copium that I give myself. But yeah, great card, and love it. I love the black and white photo that they use there as well. We were just talking about it before you jumped on. Just a really, really cool look to the card. And yeah, love the Onyx parallels. They did that for a couple years, and really nice cards.
I haven't figured out exactly how to scan these properly to get the full effect, but they're very person. Just I don't know, maybe it's the type of material or foil that they used with Black Diamond that I have to play with the settings on my scanner a little bit to get it right.
Makes sense for sure. They're definitely hard cards to capture, so I don't blame you. Moving on to number 18, got a couple very nice cards of a fairly decent hockey player, I would say. That being the great one, Wayne Gretzky.
That's awesome. Love that. Two more LA Kings cards again. Really nice.
Oh, there we go. So these are both from 2005-06 trilogy. And in particular, the patch autograph was on my want list for a long time. And again, I hadn't really seen a copy surface until the pandemic years. Actually, same with the patches out of 10. Yes, awesome 3-color patch on the honorary patches, and then the scripted patches I'll classify as barely 2-color.
Yeah,
it would definitely be much higher on the list if I was able to secure a 3-color version.
I love that.
Yeah, you got a little bit of stitching.
Still counts.
Just about tiny bit of black there.
Still counts. Great show. Great show.
Yeah, very, very nice cards for sure. On to the next one. I am partial to this one. I really liked this insert set. Just thought it was a really fun idea that they probably were doing, in honor of the 06 Olympics. So it certainly makes sense, but just a really cool insert set. And I think it was executed very, very well.
Oh, nice. Wow. Great card.
Oh, yeah. Forgot I put that one there. This is from 2005-06 Ultimate. It's the National Heroes. So they created a jersey versions. I think they were at a 225, and then short prints were out of 200. And then there was the patch versions out of 25, and then there were short prints out of 10. So this one is the only 3-color copy I've ever seen. And it's actually numbered 8 of 10 for those that are partial to jersey numbers, as well as like a very good grade, especially for those thick patch cards at a 9.5.
That's great. What an awesome card. I love the, the patch colors, and then you have the, overall design of the card. It all just kind of works really, really well.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of some of the national cards that in the game Be a Player produced in, I want to say in like 2001 to 2003. It almost belongs in that kind of design, which is very, very cool. You can see like the Russian flag kind of on the side there, and then it changes for every player in their nationality. So very, very unique card, not something you see very much of today.
Definitely not.
Yeah, absolutely. Super, super cool card and super cool insert set, like we were saying. So that was number 17. So on to number 16. We are getting into what you might consider as rarefied air.
Oh, nice. Huh.
Yeah,
Those
so
are
this
great.
is a very when I speak to other collectors, not very many people know that these exist. So this is an insert set from SP Authentic, and the rarefied rookies were each numbered serial number 1 of 1. You can see just below the picture there. And this Perry actually came off of a larger Perry collection that they were selling on eBay right around 2017, somewhere in that time frame. Just kind of mixed in with all the other Perry rookies. I guess the collector didn't really give it too much more thought in terms of piecing it out. So I just bought the entire lot solely for this card, and then
Wow.
I ended up getting some other nice ones that I ended up piecing out. But yeah, crazy rare. I'll pick up any of these rarefied rookies whenever I can find them. I think I have about 7 or 8 at the moment.
Great thing. I love how you mentioned that some people don't know they exist. That's my jam. I love stuff that, you have to really look at, with a magnifying glass in the hobby to kind of realize, wow, like this set exists. And yeah, it definitely goes under the radar. And yeah, I can see why a lot of people don't know they exist, because they're its own set and they're all kind of 1 of 1. So it's crazy rare.
And I believe this was the only year that they did this insert set too. So there just isn't that like established
hard sign too.
Right.
legacy of them. Like people just don't know that this was a set that existed. So yeah, definitely super cool. And again, just to reiterate the quality of this list, this is number 16. So you're getting a super, super, super scarce. I mean, it's a 1 of 1, but just the idea of the set, super scarce. You just don't see this stuff. Doesn't even crack the top 15. Shows you where we're heading. So we'll move on to number 15, which I would say this is a card that probably doesn't need a whole lot of explanation because it really just speaks for itself. But I remember when you picked this one up and how meaningful it was for you to pick this up. So I would love to hear, your backstory behind it.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. So this is essentially 2 of the 4 consensus Mount Rushmore hockey players in terms of forwards that there's been, or I guess include or so players. Yeah, this is an incredible piece. And again, this isn't a card that really set me back, and it was only purchased like I think maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It's just an incredible 3-color patch on the Gretzky, and then almost like a perfectly centered triangle, if you will, on the vintage Howe piece. And there's only 35 of these. If anyone like is looking to get into like collections of these players, like I would highly recommend looking into SP Authentic or SP Game Used and seeing some of the cool inserts that they produced that year of top quality players.
Yeah, impossible to go wrong with something like that. Two legends of the sport, really nice memorabilia pieces. You don't see stuff like this every day for good reason. So, because if people have them, they don't want to let it go. So, yeah, definitely a spectacular card from a really cool product. I remember thinking that pretty much everything in 0506 SP Game Used was just really cool. I think it was part of the look, but also just like the quality of the cards, especially the memorabilia throughout that product was fantastic. So obviously this is an excellent example of that. So very, very cool there. So we'll move on to number 14, which we'll get back to the big 2 and some really, really nice cards of them. So number 14 is a very nice Sidney Crosby.
Oh man, that thing pops. Hot prospects, loved it. Amazing card.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a 2005-6 Hot Prospects from Fleer. This is not a very highly collected card outside, or like the parallels are not very well known outside the base, which are 199. So these are at a 50. All the RPAs were, and this one just another like random Facebook message, and very surprised that they had this available. I've seen numerous 1 and 2 color copies, but to get the 3 color with the sort of the golden hue of the penguins, just takes it to another level. I was really happy to get this card, and I'm still after the Ovechkin to match it.
What's always kind of been interesting to me about these Hot Prospects RPAs is it seems like at least the majority of the base RPAs used like a Rimouski jersey or something, not game worn, just a photo shoot, but it seemed like it was like a Rimouski jersey or something.
Yeah, I've seen the Penguins colors that they used at the time. I've seen Rimouski, and I've also seen almost like a throwback to the early 90s Penguins, like the 91, 92, like those kind of jerseys. And it's really tough to say. I mean, it's a photo shoot. He could have been wearing any of those throwbacks, right? So, yeah, a collage of different jerseys were used for these patches for sure.
Definitely, I don't know, kind of just makes them more interesting too, to just like think like, and I know it wasn't just Crosby. I know they did that for a number of other players, and we've talked about that over the years too. But just kind of interesting, like how they used these like random retro jerseys for photo shoots for 05-06 rookies for whatever reason. So,
well, they've done that. Like even today, sometimes they'll do it. Wearing multiple jerseys, and different jerseys will come up in the same set. Like in my case, in the Enroth collection, just had to slide it in here. In his cup cards, they use 2 different jerseys, the 05-06 Buffalo jerseys, which he only got, from the draft. And then after that, they use like the classic Buffalo Slug jerseys, which I actually liked. I know people hate them so much, but I really enjoyed those. But anyway, so in his, cup RPAs, there's 2 different jerseys that you can kind of collect. So kind of cool.
Yeah, I think the Ovechkin version of this card almost exclusively features like a throwback Capitals jersey from like or even a throw forward, if you will, to like the 2014-15 like 70s jerseys, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, interesting thing actually about these cards as well. They produced white versions out of 5, which unfortunately I don't have either of those Crosby or Ovechkin cards. And it is an absolute mystery whether the Shield versions were ever produced. I've never been able to confirm
for both Crosby and Ovechkin.
Ovechkin, Crosby, and Lundqvist. I have never seen, like, none of the major collectors seem to know their whereabouts either. So
that's interesting.
I mean, the chances of them all being still in packs is pretty slim, but are not 0.
I love these card mysteries. I love it so much. They're frustrating, trust me, but I love those mysteries. Does it exist? Does it not exist? And then you see one potentially, and it's just like, this is insane.
Yeah, I think the Phaneuf is out there somewhere. But yeah, the big 3 rookies, I have no idea if they were ever produced or not.
The mystery looms large. Maybe we'll find out one day, but not today. So yeah, very cool, and a cool set that, I don't know, I really liked Hot Prospects back in that era. It was just kind of a cool, kind of nice way to get RPAs for cheap. It was kind of a lower to mid end product, but you still had the RPAs. So it was kind of just just a nice product that I think a lot of people kind of miss the general concept of that product. So yeah, anyway, we'll jump on to number 13 here. Kind of saw some cards similar to this earlier, but these ones are very, very nice in their own right. And I feel like we'll probably get some similar explanation as to why these cards are pretty special.
Oh yeah, these were from Ultimate Collection as well. Yeah, Ultimate Collection just knocked it out of the park that year. But this is the premium patches out of 35 on the left, and then on the right you see the premium swatches out of 75. To my knowledge, there's, I want to say, 2, including mine. That's a 4-color patch. And then there's a really crazy patch that another collector has that is 5-color just because it has part of the tongue, I guess, from the eagle, making it 5-color. That's the only one I would put above this copy, which actually came from Mitch in a deal with Mitch Grobman. And then the swatches, just impossible to find 4 colors. Again, I just make it tough on myself.
Amazing.
Yeah, very, very nice cards for sure. Huge memorabilia pieces from a high-end set. It doesn't get much better than that. So definitely super, super cool there. Moving on to number 12. I know, these are 3 cards combined into one, but I know one of these is one of your more notable recent pickups, a card that you've been looking for, for obviously many years. And I believe this was the first one that you had seen. So I'll let you unpack these 3, but the one in the middle of particular interest.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is what the 3 that I would consider like the top cards for my 2005-6 Victory Black set, a working set. So I'll tackle the ones on the bookends here first. The Lemieux is the only copy I have ever seen. That one, I believe, came from an auction, which went for much less than what I was willing to pay for it. Just not a lot of people know about these cards. And the Lundqvist came in that same lot that I bought the high gloss Young Gun. Now, the star of the show here is the Gretzky.
wow.
So the Gretzky, I had asked, I don't even know how many different Gretzky collectors that essentially have everything like high end or low print, or at least they've seen this. This was nowhere to be found. It popped up on eBay earlier this year, and I reached out to the seller. I just couldn't believe that it was there, and he told me that he actually pulled it himself back in 2006, I think, and he still had it in like the original blaster that he pulled it from.
Wow.
Which kind of confirmed to me, like, I didn't know that you could pull Victory Blacks from those blasters, because I had opened a few growing up, right? But I never pulled any golds or anything. So to find a Victory Black and that was unheard of for me. So quickly came to a deal. He actually had a Gonchar as well.
Oh, nice.
From the regular base. Yeah. So Gonchar is kind of featured both in the base in Bruins colors and then in the Victory update set from Series 2 in Penguins colors. So he sold me both of those all together, and yeah, I couldn't believe that one just popped up on a random day. Like, was not expecting it at all, but definitely wasn't going to let it slip through my fingers for sure.
Yeah, again, very much like, I mean, any of the Victory Black cards, but especially something like that with Gretzky, it's one of those cards where it's just like, if you know, you know. Like, that is an absolute monster of a card. No autograph, no memorabilia, but you don't need that. Like, you don't need stuff like that for a card like that to be special.
I love cards that just stand tall, just on their own. You don't need an autograph, you don't need a fancy patch. It just stands alone, it's amazing. I love those cards. They just, the kind of, I don't know, mystery about them just makes them amazing. It doesn't need a any other attributes. It's amazing. So that is the Gretzky and just the Victory Blacks. I remember years ago, finding out that the Victory Blacks, had, little serial numbered versions out of 5. Because I didn't know in 0506 that they existed. Found out years after that, wow, like those years that the Blacks had an actual serial number, I had no idea. So super rare.
Yeah, I think the years following 2005-06, it was just assumed that they were out of 5, but I believe the print was actually higher.
They are higher.
That they had the actual stamp.
Yeah, I think in other prior years it was like 10, 15 copies, maybe even more, depending on the year. But yeah.
Yeah, so now like the really big ones left to chase, aside from Crosby and Ovechkin, but like just of the original base 1 to 200 with no rookies, I've yet to see a Howe, and I've yet to see a Messier.
Okay.
But Gretzky was definitely number 1 on the list in terms of trying to find one.
That's great. I love stories like that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably also an answer to one of the questions we had earlier. Like, what was a card that felt really good to cross off the list? Like, when I thought of that question, that's the card that came to my mind of like, you were looking for this for so long, you finally find one and you're able to bring it home.
Yeah. Had I not purchased the high gloss Young Guns of Crosby and Ovechkin, I don't think I would have had too much trouble finding them. It would have been like securing the funding for it.
Of course.
This one was just finding it.
Yep.
And I was willing to pay quite a bit for this card just because of how long it took.
That's fair.
No doubt. I know good buddy of ours, Jeff Griffith, who of course is a huge Gretzky collector. Back when you shared that you had gotten this, I was like, I got to know if he's ever, like, if he has one, if he's ever seen one. And he said that was the first he had seen as well. So if he doesn't have it, hasn't seen it, that also just speaks to its scarcity as well.
He was one of the collectors I reached out to. Usually he's my go-to guy in terms of basically confirming if something exists Gretzky-wise, and he had never seen it. So that just confirmed to me that this was the next to impossible to find.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, huge cards, awesome cards, really nice looking cards. Yeah, awesome. And again, we're at number 13. So it just keeps getting better and better. So
almost in a top 10.
We'll move on to number 12. We'll jump back to SP Game Used, and this is obviously a spectacular card and very rare as well.
Oh yeah,
so this is actually a recent acquisition. This one came. This was a trade deal actually earlier this year. Yeah, this is the SP Game Used autographed parallel version. So these are sticker autos, and then they're stamped kind of in the corner out of 5. So this one would have been, this one is 3 out of 5. The grade to me on this one is just bonus. BGS 9 is more than healthy for me. Just finding one of these was insane.
Yeah, you'll take any grade.
Yeah. I unfortunately missed out on an Ovechkin version of this shortly before his before the turn of the calendars. So both of them became available right around the same time, and I was already working on another high-end card at the time. So unfortunately, I had to pass on it. But I was able to get this one via trade. So yeah, super happy to cross that one off.
Yeah, awesome card for sure. And I misspoke. This is actually, I think, I just confirm this was number 11. So again, a Crosby auto out of 5, not making the top 10. Like, that's wild. So,
what else is there? I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, definitely super cool card. So officially moving into the top 10 now. You guys have been seeing a lot of 0506 stuff, understandably so. That's why we're here. but this is the one lone exception, not being an 0506 card. So this will start out the top 10. It's a card that I certainly very much approve of, and I know Aaron will as well. But would love to hear. We heard a little bit of the backstory, I guess, but would love to hear the full backstory behind this beautiful vintage card.
Oh, nice.
So this
Glenn
is
Hall.
the 1957-58 Topps Glenn Hall rookie. And at the time, so this would have been 2015, at the time that I basically sold the set that I had in order to fund the high gloss cards. I had a really, really sharp SGC 7.5. I think they used a different grading scale then, but like equivalent to PSA 7.5 at the time, which really, really hurt to give up. But looking back, it was definitely the right move. So I was able to pick this really, really clean copy up in more recent years. But yeah, this is one of my favorite sets, 2005 six aside, that I pick away at. And yeah, this is the star of the show in terms of the cards that I have to date.
Very nice. Definitely hits a chord with me as a goalie, but I'm sure Eric as a Hawks guy definitely strikes a chord with him too. So fantastic show. Very clean.
Yeah, just a spectacular card. Obviously a big departure from the rest of the stuff, but yeah, awesome card for sure. So with that, we will jump back to 0506 the rest of the way. And this will be our first experience with the iconic 2005-06 The Cup product.
Oh, nice. Plants. I love that.
So this is a legendary cut from the inaugural 0506 The Cup products, as you mentioned. The numbering, the serial numbering was all unique, varied by different cards. So the Plan only had 3 copies. This is the only copy that I've seen. And yeah, like I couldn't believe that this became available when I was able to secure it at auction. I thought it was going to go for a lot higher than it did. And there was a time frame, I think in 2021, where one collector was selling off the legendary cuts that he had. So I was able to secure this Plant, a Harvey out of 5, Doug Harvey, and a King Clancy, I believe, out of 5 as well. Nice. And then later on, I was able to get the Brian Hextall 1/1. And there's numerous 1/1s throughout this set. So it's definitely going to be a few years yet. I don't anticipate seeing any other ones coming available anytime soon. So yeah, you just never know. But yeah, the Plant out of 3, just couldn't believe I was able to secure that one.
Great looking card too.
Yeah, it's stuff you don't see this kind of stuff every day.
People might not even know that there's a legendary cut set in 0506 Cup. That's how rare they were.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so amazing card, and obviously a legendary name of the sport for sure. So that is a spectacular piece. Moving on to number 8, we will return to the Great 8 himself. While maybe not as high end of a product as the Cup, this type of card is next to impossible to find. So always really cool when you can see stuff like this.
So this is from 2005-6 Clear Ultra. It is the Difference Makers patch autograph, which were limited to only 5 copies. I think I've seen one other one that had a solid patch piece, but this one has all 4 Capitals colors for the time. Incredibly rare to find. This one, I believe, came from an auction. And yeah, went for lower than what I was willing to pay for it. So that's always a good feel. I do have the patch version of the 25 with no autograph that probably has a more impressive patch and just fell out of the top 25. But yeah, I have jersey patch. I think the only one I'm missing is actually the jersey auto, which all have, I think, single color jersey pieces, so that's why I haven't picked one up yet.
Amazing card. I love the colors in the background. It just makes it look just so unique, and of course the patch there is amazing, and the added auto, which is amazing. Can't say anything more positive about it.
One thing that kind of stands out to me, and I'm sure you'll be able to answer this question right away, but is that the photo from his Young Guns?
It is. I was just about to say that. Yep, should be the same photo as the Young Guns was used, so it's pretty iconic.
Cool. All right, so we will move on here to number 7, and I feel like we're definitely starting to get into the super big boys here. So, again, kind of a card that speaks for itself, but I'd love to hear the backstory behind what is a spectacular shield of a big time player.
Yeah, so this is Corey Perry's Ultimate Rookies Shield autograph. I honestly don't remember how I got this card. It wasn't in the same Perry lot because that would be unreal, but this was a separate deal. Yeah, Corey Perry, like, people kind of forget that he had like scoring years at one the Hart Trophy, and then he's been on all those Team Canada victories through like 2010, 2014, even to I think 2016 he might have been on the team. So yeah, he's just continuing to extend like his legacy, like going to all. I feel bad for him going to all these finals and like just coming up short.
He won one of them at least, so that's at least something. Could you imagine not winning any cups? That would be tragic.
Yeah, I mean the problem been on the wrong side of the finals. I think 5 of the last 6 years is nuts. But yeah, this is one of, if not the best rookie he had produced. Definitely for Ultimate, this would have been top of the line.
Yeah, definitely a spectacular piece, and keep this this general type of card in mind for the next one as we move to number 6. We will jump back to Mr. Ovechkin. It's not the shield, but it is a very nice card in its own right, for sure.
Love that patch.
So this one I picked up 2022 or 23, I want to say. This was a concerted effort to nail this specific copy down. I don't have many of those moments, but I wanted this particular copy just because of the patch. I know there are higher grade examples. There are similar 4-color patches, but this is the only one that I saw that had like lettering. You can see the WA in Washington there. And yeah, this one just grabbed me right away. So this is a few years in the making in terms of securing a deal. And I gave up some really nice pieces to get it, but no regrets on this one for sure.
Fantastic. So would you, when looking to trade certain cards, would you kind of cannibalize certain aspects of your 0506 to get bigger cards, or would you kind of trade some stuff from other areas of your collection?
Yeah, so I would definitely trade other areas of the collection first. All kind of card dependent. And it's only in recent years where I've even started to move a few pieces from 0506, but they're primarily going to fund other pieces that from the same year that I like even better.
Makes sense. And would you try and, it's hard, but trade away certain cards where okay, there's a better chance I'm going to see these cards again that I trade away? Maybe not the same patch or swatch or whatever it is, but ones that you're confident in that, what, it's worth it to get rid of these ones for what I'm getting, because I can hopefully pick up these ones down the line.
Yeah, that's definitely like an internal struggle that I have. It really depends on the card, I'll say.
Makes sense.
Yeah, if there's something that's like, I've been at this for well over a decade at this point, just collecting this year. if there's something I know just never pops up, and there's something I have that, the other end of the deal wants, and I'm confident that I'll be able to find another copy, it's a no-brainer for me.
Awesome.
Very nice. Yeah, like just a card that truly speaks for itself. Just a spectacular piece for sure. So, and again, this is not even a top 5 card, people. Like, this is just a stunning, jaw-dropping piece, and there's still more to come. So, with that, we will formally enter the top 5. We have seen a card from this set before, but of course, this is an even bigger name. So, starting off our top 5.
So this is another rarefied rookies. Instead of Perry, it's just Henrik Lundqvist. In my opinion, would have been the 3rd best rookie to come out of that crop, and Hall of Famer, doing well with his media career now, both podcast and on TNT, and is still very relevant for Rangers collectors. I could not believe I was able to secure this one. So, I guess this is the importance of making like a eBay listing very presentable and attractive. When I saw this card on eBay, it was a really grainy photo, but I knew what I was looking at. And that's why I was able to pick it up for a fraction of what I anticipated it going for. And I believe the listing only had the shipping option to Canada, so a lot of the American collectors would have never even seen it. So it's, I felt very fortunate that I was the winning bid on this card.
Man, it's just everything about that card I love, and like obviously being a goalie and Lundqvist at that is it's a very special card. And I remember when you picked this up and just being like, wow, like that's amazing. It's rare, and it's just a stunning design, and the fact that they were only done once just makes it even better. I love it.
Yeah, I think only Crosby and Ovechkin copies would supersede it in this set for me.
That makes sense. You're the expert, so I would definitely agree with that. That sounds about right.
Awesome. We will move into the top 4, and I would say like even beyond those last 2 cards, this is like we take another step up at this point. So
it's hard to believe that
I
there's still more levels to jump, but here we are.
Yeah. So for number 4, I mean, truly all of these cards speak for themselves, but this one, you just see something like this and really wow is kind of the only possible reaction that you can have.
Huh. Yeah, wow. That patch is amazing. Just one of the best Ovechkin patches I've ever seen. That's stunning.
This is actually a recent pickup and consolidation effort through Fund Your Cards. I gave up a lot of pieces, but none that I regret in terms of funding this card, which is always a good sign. And when I saw this one come up for auction, I knew that this one is the one to go all in on. I've had very few moments where I basically put all my chips in the center. This was one of them. The other ones we'll probably see during the rest of the countdown. But just the patch quality. So you got 4 colors, kind of the end of the stick for the old Capitals shoulder logo that you kind of see there on Ovechkin on his shoulder there in the picture. And then the autograph is actually very much intact, especially with
very
limited
good
logos
quality
this year.
Yep. Very good quality.
You can see like subtle bubbling here and there, but overall the autograph remains intact, which is so rare to find these days. And then you just have like a bonus high grade of 8.5, which I think the highest PSA grade I believe is an 8. So this is kind of in that ballpark. Not that I really plan on crossing this anytime soon, but high grade example of a cup product that honestly was not really packaged very well, and has a lot of dings and sort of surface corner issues. And yeah, you're not going to find a better copy than this.
Amazing. So close to the jersey number as well. So close.
Yeah, so close. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm glad you mentioned the quality of the autograph, because people who collect this set or are familiar with it certainly know that that was a huge issue with these cards. Typically, when they're making cards, they'll change the surface of the cards to have more of a matte finish on it, so it's easier for the ink to stick to the card. But for whatever reason, they just left the glossy finish on these cards, so that's why you'll see a lot of these autographs bubbling. But yeah, this is a stunning example just from an autograph standpoint. And then you add in the incredible quality of the patch. And, I like that it mentions it on the label at the top, but, it's a game used patch too. This is not a photo shoot piece. This is a game used patch.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's a part of the reason as well why I basically went all in. It just hit all the right points for me.
No doubt. Yeah, just a truly spectacular card. And again, I've said it multiple times, but this is number 4. Like, that's crazy to think about, but understandable when we see what's still coming. So yeah, spectacular card. So on to number 3. Greg, I think you'll be happy to finally see these. And in my opinion, the fact that these are 3 is wild. Like, I fully understand number 1, and that's understandable. But to me, these are 2. So I'm very curious to hear your explanation for why these 2 truly iconic cards are number 3.
Yeah, this is definitely a core memory for me, which I think I explained
Wow.
earlier. Picking these 2 up, I might have had them one spot higher if I had really suffered to get them.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I was able to pick them up, like I said, like I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks after I made the post on Hobby Insider. These ones came fairly quickly, which I was not expecting. Yeah, if I had been searching high and low for a decade or so, like it might have been a different story, but spectacular nonetheless. I couldn't put them any lower than 3.
Just, I mean, we were talking about this before the pod, but I just mentioned to Eric that cards like these, they're not just like really nice cards. They're just, or not even iconic. They're just like historic. If I could put it up that high, it's something that years from now, I'm not saying your collection, but just you're going to hear about one of these in like 20 or 25 years go out for sale. And they're just going to be like the stuff of legends, right? They're just going to be belonging in a museum type cards. I think these would be those type of cards that would be in there, and just so special in every way and amazing. I'm so glad. And the story of you acquiring these is just amazing. And just 2 of the most historic cards, I think, from this sort of era. Just high gloss, like what they mean in the hobby, just those 2 players, just everything.
Yeah, and I really like the design they used. Going back to like an earlier question, where like not only did they change the foil, because I think that's kind of the practice now, is just kind of changing the foil, putting high gloss, and then the stamp for the serial number out of 10. But they actually changed the entire border, where it's you see like the Young Guns, and then the position, and then a cross where it says team name. That's all different and unique to the high gloss of this year. And something that I don't think they continued in 06, 07. I think it was just the foil, and I think thereafter. So these make it really pop, or very eye-catching when you see one of these in person.
They do. I mean, I'll never see these cards in person, but I get what you mean. These are just amazing. Maybe you have another player, but yeah, no, just special cards. Thanks for sharing them. Just They're just mind-blowing in every way.
Yeah, I still remember like first taking them out of the package when I received them and just being like completely.
How long did you look at them? Just an hour must have gone by.
Yeah, I think I probably woke up that night just to look at them as well. Like, it's crazy.
That's great. That's great. I love that.
One kind of fun conversation that I know you and I have had for a few different cards is like looking back, like getting these cards earlier, you know, and understanding that the market is so much different now. You know, you mentioned what you paid for, what you stole these for from that poor person.
It was theft. It was theft. It was legal theft.
Yeah, there's got to be there's got to be an arrest warrant out there somewhere for you. But if these were to hit the market today, what do you feel is like a realistic number for these?
I guess contrary to the current market where Ovechkin cards seem to be selling more than Crosby, I would put the Crosby at a higher premium, specifically because it never surfaces. With Ovechkin's goal chase and the buzz surrounding him, I think there have been 2 or 3 copies that have come up during that lead up to the goal record. Crosby just does not appear. I think the last sale would have been, I want to say in 2019, and it was before these cards really took off. I would be it would be very tough to let either of these go, but if I was to let one go, it would actually be the Ovechkin and not the Crosby, and it would be more than $2,400. Let's say that.
Okay, that's fair. I guess we'll leave it at that. That's fair enough. Special cards.
All right, so like 2,500. I'd take it. But
maybe double.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, there we go. He'll think about it. That's fair.
Awesome. So yeah, just 2 absolutely jaw-dropping pieces that you just pretty much don't see. So spectacular pieces there. So on to number 2, and again, this card is absolutely incredible. And I'm assuming now, kind of hearing what you said, that I kind of know where the backstory will go, why this is number 2. But just an absolutely spectacular piece coming in at number 2 here.
Man, that's something.
So this is another card from 2005-06 Ultimate Collection, the debut threads, but this is the patch and signature version. Now, I've seen a few of these sell, definitely below 10K. The reason I have it so high is the autograph on this one is so crisp, and
it is crispy.
Yeah, and the thing is, some of the recent sales have had a bit more like sloppy autographs, and one is even very faded. This is by far, like, I don't know if he just like took a break, came back, and like really took his time on 5 out of 10.
Could have been, maybe.
And then the patch itself is what really sold me. This would have been an eBay listing from, I think, 2018 or somewhere around that time, where the seller was really smart in highlighting what piece of the patch or what piece of the logo the patch came from. So you can see that the eye of the penguin is the 2 kind of white dots at the top, and then you can see the beak starting on the left-hand side, and then some more of the penguin's logo just below the chin. And it's really distinct. You can't unsee it once you've seen it. And this is also game-used material, which is very rare to find for Crosby.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story behind that deal. Like I said, it was on eBay, but I was able to set up a cash and trade with the seller. So I traded a Guy Lafleur rookie card, PSA 8, and an Al McInnes PSA 10 that I had graded myself with cash. I can't remember the exact number. It was probably like $2,000 or something like that, $2 or $3,000 something. And was able to secure this one. It meant much more to me than the other rookies, which I still haven't gone back to pick up, but Very happy I made the trade when I did.
Amazing. I love the look of the card and the patch, like you were saying, explaining a little bit more about it. It's just, yeah, just a great part of the emblem there. And yeah, it just that is a crispy autograph. I'm not sure, like I'm not the high roller collector that that, that you are at times, but so I haven't seen many other cards of Crosby from this set, but I'll take your word on it because that is definitely a very crispy autograph compared to the other ones that that you mentioned there. So yeah, definitely the best copy of those 10, I'm sure. And yeah, you have it there. So it's really, really something.
Yeah, there's other patches that I would say are like on par. I know there's a few that have pieces of like the penguin glove that
Nice.
have all three colors, which are really spectacular. But the autographs are just not as nice. So that's why I put this at the top of the list there.
Very cool. Yeah, that's just a spectacular card. Our buddy Jeremy Lee popping in,
What a
definitely.
card. Yep.
Yeah,
What a card.
no doubt. And I'm curious to hear. I know the patch version, the non-auto, just the patch version of this card, is a 1 of 1. Do you know like what kind of the backstory is about why they did that?
I have no idea. And the thing is, too, with the 1 of 1, I almost would have reserved one of these top quality patches for a 1 of 1 to make it just like that much better.
Mhm.
It is a 3-color patch. I have seen it, but I believe it's from like a number or something like that. It's very, very straight. Yeah, I'm not sure what the explanation would have been. I almost would have made the debut threads the 1 of 1, in my opinion, and made the other one out of 10 or something like that.
Mhm.
But lucky for me, they didn't, and I was able to secure 5 out of 10 there.
Fantastic.
Awesome card. Yeah. Jeremy, you came in at a good time. We're right near the top of the list here. This is number 2. So we will jump over to number 1. And this is just
Yep.
a museum quality piece. Like not much can really be said about that. I mean, I know we've said that about the last few, but this is just one of those cards that's just like takes your breath away. So
Yep.
this is fully deserving of number 1 on just about any list. And I know we were talking about this card recently, Isaias, and said, exclude 1 of 1s. This might be the best card of the modern era in hockey, like period. So yeah, I will pop it up on the screen and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
There it is. Wow.
So this is from the inaugural Cup, the gold parallel to the base rookies at a 99, each numbered to the feature athlete's jersey numbers. So Ovechkin only had 8 produced. This is number 6 of 8, and by far the nicest patch that I know exists of the 8. Yeah, again, this was another case where the image was poor, but I knew what I was looking at. In the image of the original listing, the blue did not appear, so it looked like a 3-color patch. But doing like a little bit of digging, you can see like where the separation was, and you could tell that there was another color if you look really closely. I remember there was so I actually got this shortly before the 2018 playoffs, or just in the first round. Basically after that, his cards skyrocketed in price.
Yeah.
But in saying earlier that I was a Leaf fan, I always followed the Capitals through the playoffs, to utter disappointment every year.
Yep.
A lot of times in spectacular fashion. So I developed a really soft spot for the Capitals, and then especially in the last 4 years, they've almost been my primary team. Where once he hit 500 goals or 600 goals at the time that he did, I was just doing the math and saying, he could drop off and still catch Gretzky. And we saw this past April that when he passed it. So I was determined to get this card. Like this was all chips in.
Yeah.
I remember it specifically. There was a 99 and this one. The out of 8 were available, ending at the same time. And this card went for over less than half than what the 99 sold for, which
Man, that's just, it's hard to believe, really. I mean, I get it. Some people,
Yeah.
they want the base version, but for something like this out of 8, just doesn't seem possible, but yet it happened.
I mean, like the thinking before was, collecting the true rookies and the parallels were kind of nice to have, like a interesting like talking piece, but like
Yeah.
a lot of collectors really didn't like them,
It's so strange.
which is fine for me because like my philosophy,
yeah.
yeah, it was collecting like anything that was more rare, was my thinking. So that's what I did, and that's why like it's not too difficult on myself to think, oh, like I could have bought a true RPA out of 99 because I was able to secure this one based on what I was thinking at the time. And I'm one of those rare collectors where this is what we would like the pinnacle of collecting, or like whatever your most wanted card ever would be. There's nothing that's going to surpass this for me, just because of the athlete and the product and the kind of the story behind the cup, the first year of it. And there's only 8 of these to go around. And you saw the recent auction. I think it was in May or April.
Yeah, something like that.
Where this card, yeah, I remember watching it and I was just astonished. Like I knew it would do well. I didn't know it would do that well.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. Definitely a lot of just, I can only imagine that, like watching those high-end cards go when you have some of those just kind of in your back pocket just must be a really good feeling. So I'm really glad that worked out for you there, with this in your back pocket. So yeah, just an amazing cards. And you touched on the parallel aspect of it, but I love the gold version of this. I think they look fantastic. Again, we've always heard that, the 99 kind of rules over the parallel version. And I get it. Hockey collectors are always more, I guess, pure in that sense. Maybe that's different now, but, when it comes to these cards, but I've always preferred the gold version. And I remember years ago when, in 0506, when you saw these cards first released, and the 87 didn't have that that iconic aspect of it like it did the 99, but I've always preferred the 87 better, and the same thing here with the Ovechkin out of 8. I love it better. It's more rare and it looks great. I wouldn't say it looks better because they're both iconic in their own ways, but just it looks amazing. And it's rare. Like, how could you not like that? So I totally see, your, mythology there of rarer is better. And I totally feel that.
Yeah, I would say that I've modified my philosophy a little bit, where I believe there's certain characteristics of a card that matter just as much as rarity. It being game used, having a good auto. I'm not as torn between sticker versus hard sign to some people, depending on rarity. And then overall condition, like it's really taking the context of the product, I find. Because for a cup card that has all the other aspects, but has a little bit of wear on, like natural wear, not like water damage or something like that, it wouldn't deter me from buying it at all. And this one has one of the best autos that I've seen. I don't know if, again, he took a break.
He took a break, went back.
Yeah, I decided to sign 6 out of 8. Really, really nice. And like, I know there is one other, I think it's 4 out of 8 has a really similar patch, but it doesn't have the blue stripe. So it has pieces of 2 of the bronze stars and then kind of the black and white background. Yeah, this one is the quality of the patch, which is the most important for me, is off the charts. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, just a jaw-dropping card for sure. Kind of an interesting thing about these cards. Of course, like we've said, it's numbered out of 8, numbered to the jersey number. I really wish they had just kept doing it that way. I feel like the gold parallels really lost something when they went away from that. I think it was 14-15, I want to say, when they stopped doing that. And it just, I don't know, like
It's different.
the appeal of them just being out of a standardized number just like is nowhere near as cool. So but I mean, any player, whether it be Crosby, whether it be whoever, even if it is a higher number, and I think that's part of why maybe for the Crosby one, people even today probably still prefer the 99 just because they're close enough. If Crosby was number 25 or something and it was much more limited, then that changes things. But they're close enough where, then you say, well, do I want the true rookie or do I want one that's a little bit more scarce? That kind of makes sense. But when there's such a huge contrast, 99 down to 8 for this, I mean, it's just an incredible piece for what it is, but then add in the scarcity and it's just a top tier card, hobby wide, I would say.
Yeah, and thinking back on the mindset I had with this card, like I was willing to part with anything in my collection. So I was going to figure out the funding afterwards. I was going to try to secure this card and then put everything out to market and even take a bit of a loss maybe on some cards, but just to fund this card.
That's amazing.
And then I have great memories like watching the 2018 playoffs along with this. And man, was I ever hoping, man, like that this was their year. Like as soon as they got past the Penguins, I was like, do anything you can to get into the finals, and then we'll see what happens, because that Tampa team was good. And if you remember, they had, I think they were down 3-2, and then Holtby closed the door. Ovi had a series of clutch goals, especially in Game 7. And they ran away with it in the finals. I think it was only five games. They weren't going to let it slip. But yeah, great memories about that time, playoffs, and then securing this. I didn't actually see this card hold it in hand until a few months later, just because it was sent to an ad. I was away for work in another province at the time. So then I came back to like an insane. I should have done a video. An insane mail day of I think a year's worth of pickups, and this was
including this one.
I
think that might be the best mail day of all time. I think ever in anyone's collection. Having this on your doorstep, along with, I mean, I'm scared to ask what other stuff was in that pile, but I mean, just amazing.
You can go back and look on Hobby Insider. I did a 3-part show and tell of everything that I picked
and that
up
was
over
all
that time. So this was number 1. I want to say the Crosby that we saw at 2 was also in that collection.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that definitely is. I didn't realize it's been so long that was all part of one mail day, but I might have to go back and look at that thread again, because amazing. I kind of want to see what else was in there.
Yeah. I think I linked a lot of images to Photo Bucket at the time. So
yeah, maybe
it's... I mean, you can still read it, even though the images might not appear, but
that's fair.
Yeah. That was wild. I think I spent, I don't even know, probably 2.5 hours just opening packages.
That's the best. That sounds like a dream.
And the thing is too that for you. Yeah, like I forgot who had sent me what at the time, so it was really like opening packs almost at
like
the time.
A mystery.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Great. Did you find this one right away, or was it towards the end, or somewhere in the middle?
I think I looked for this one specifically because I was crossing my fingers nothing had happened to it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then luckily, like I knew about fading autos at the time. Like maybe some of my early cards I would have put on a window, like near direct light or anything like that. Nothing like too high end. So I learned my lesson on those. But this one I kept in a safe and just locked it away.
Yep.
I didn't want to take any chance on this one.
No, of course not. It's too special of a card to risk it.
Well, that is, just a absolutely insane card. So, very, very, very deserving of that top spot and rounds out what was an incredible show. So thank you for sharing. Just so many spectacular cards and a great look at what was an iconic year in the hobby for sure. Seeing a lot of variety through this list and just a very, very fun thing to see all this stuff. So I think that's pretty much all that we have on our end. Is there anything else that you want to share about yourself or about your collection before we wrap up?
I'm sitting next to about like 500 cards.
I was gonna ask,
just in case.
Yeah, your background's a little blurry, but we won't. We'll be here all night if we do that. But I just kind of saw by the blurry background, like, are those cards in the background? Like just boxes and boxes. And I'm sure there's so much good stuff laying around there. But just stunning.
I'll show like 2 cards.
Okay, that's fair.
And just because I've had a few messages on Instagram, I just want to make sure I get them out there. Nothing super, super high end, but just some cards that mean a little bit more to me. So I'm just going to tilt my camera down. And let's see if I can fix this here. I'll take my blur off.
So it might be, it's a little blurry, but I think it's a goalie card. Nice patch.
Yeah, I'm just going to take my blur off here.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's like, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but seems like a great card.
Yeah, so there's one collector on Instagram that really is a big fan of my Thrashers cards. This is probably the nicest piece. We'll see if I can get it out of the light. There we go. Yeah. So this you can see is another one of the premium patches similar to the Ovechkin that I showed. So you can see if I tilt it, you can definitely make out the exact piece, which is the Thrasher's head, which I thought was really interesting. Again, not a huge card in terms of like the player, but like I am a huge fan of patches. So this definitely fits the bill.
That's amazing.
I'm a big Kari Lettinen guy, so I love that card.
He is.
And this was the last one. I know there's a really big Ward collector, and I was mentioning that it's a core memory of mine, that 2006 playoffs, especially when he came and took over, and there were so many connections that people were making between him and Patrick Waugh, kind of doing a similar thing. Careers turned out very different, but you can never take away that run that he had. And he
had a pretty solid career.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is the Shield Hot Prospects that the same that I said that like Crosby and Ovechkin are still they're just no one knows where they are. And this is the Ward. So this is another one of one, and one of my favorite Shield patch designs that like I've seen. Unfortunately, they only used it this 1 year, but very, very interesting. And I actually have a third that Eric, you'll like. This just came in the mail this morning.
Oh,
so
wow.
I know you helped me secure this one on Facebook recently.
What a patch on that. Very nice.
So you can't really see it. Maybe a little bit. There's a little bit of blue down there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So this is part of a Washington patch that he had back in the day. So really, really interesting on that.
And we can see a little bit in the corner there, just stacks of cards. Just amazing.
Oh yeah, there's more in front of me here. I took them all out. Whatever I had at home, I took it all out. So
that's great. Very nice show. Thanks for doing that. Amazing.
I'm glad the deal for the Yager worked out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that'll pretty much do it on our end. So why don't you share where people can find you online in case they have any rare 0506 stuff sitting around?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, 2005-6 hockey card collector. I'll, if we can put it in the description, maybe. And then just Isaias Peraza on Facebook. I'm not as active anymore on the forums, but if you send me a message, I'll definitely see it.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. This was absolutely amazing just to hear and see so many amazing cards, and yeah, just a treat for us, and glad that we were able to finally get this episode done. Like we said, a long time coming, but was definitely worth the wait. And I guess it paid off in a way, because you added some cards that we wouldn't have been able to see had we done this a few years ago. So namely like the Gretzky Victory Black. So
that's true.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. So I think that will do it for this one. But as always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Sunrise Cardcast, and on Twitter at Sunrise CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Sunrise Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.